Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. We're going to talk about colossal failures. Yeah, things that really just struck me as being, oh man, that is just so weird. Well, I got 2 of these chisels in a box of rusty, crappy, nasty parts. And I said, okay, well, I got 2 of them. I'll try cleaning the one and see how that works. Not had real good success getting this white stuff off of chisels because usually it ends up, I ruin the handles to the point where I don't want to have anybody see them. Well, I started with one and I took a jackknife, kind of like I did with the file handles. I took a jackknife and started scraping the stuff off of it and got it reasonably okay. And then I took some sandpaper and polished on it. And I got it down to where I thought it was going to be alright. And I took it over to the buffing wheel. Big mistake. Buffing wheel is way too fast. This plastic is way too soft. I cut gouges and grooves in it all over the place. Not real deep, but enough so that they were very obvious. So then I spent 2 or 3 days trying various operations on the thing to see if I could get it to smooth out. I sanded it and sanded it and sanded it with various grades of sandpaper and emery paper and cloth backed sandpaper and managed to get it down fairly close. I even chucked it up in the lathe and tried sanding it down. Another big mistake. That was a bad idea because it heated up. That meant that it just kind of smeared. Even running slow, it heated up because the sandpaper kept filling up with the plastic and then it would kind of wipe around the outside of the thing. So I ended up going over it with 400 grit emery paper by hand and then sanding it down with finer and finer grades of sandpaper. Then I used some Meguiar's mirror glaze on it, which really worked quite well. It smoothed it up. The parts that were decent, it polished right up just perfect. But it still had a lot of gouges and grooves in it. So I've been working on it with 2000 grit wet and dry sandpaper, and I'm getting it down to where I'm thinking, okay, it's going to come out fairly decent, but I got probably another hour or 2 of hand sanding on this. It's one of those things that I do when I'm waiting for the computer to load and waiting for something to finish up. So I have plenty of things to do. And this was a nice discovery. It worked really well on the paper, on the soft plastic in this handle. Then I went over to pick up this chisel and I noticed something. One side, I had scratched it with my thumbnail and the white stuff came right off. It actually kind of breaks off in clumps. And you know what's underneath it? Perfectly smooth plastic. Now, I'm going to try something other than my thumbnail because I'll wear out my thumbnail and then I'll have thumbnail packed up and scratched up and screwed up. But I think I could probably go after this with some cleaner and a soft edged scraper. Something like what I'd use to spread around Bondo. Because that's pretty darn good. Now I still have this metal cap to deal with, and this blue area here, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It seems to be cleaning off of my thumbnail, but good to know. Try the simple stuff first before you get all involved in 101 special techniques. I did come up with a couple ideas on how to polish it in the lathe that worked pretty good. This blade, I couldn't get it to work in the 3-jaw chuck. Now I might have been able to grip it in the 4-jaw chuck, but this edge is tapered and this edge is flat in line with the center of the handle. So even if I managed to grip it in the 4-jaw, it was going to always oscillate. So I took some 5/16 nuts, put them in the 3-jaw and taped them to the jaws so that it was like a standoff. I could reach in here and grab a hold of this round part and it spun on center just fine. That was just before I realized that I was screwing up the plastic by running it in the lathe. But anyways, that's my tale of woe up to this point on these chisels. And now I have to go wash my hands because I know where this chisel has been and I don't want to have that stuff on my hands. Try the simple stuff first, guys. You never know, it might just work. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the US or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.